Alright, welcome back to my channel, Useless Skills. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. Hit the like button. If you want to comment, you could comment. Just give me a hey, anything to help with the YouTube algorithm, the algorithm gods. So today, we're going to go over the Xbox Series X and Xbox Series S. Basically, everything you need to know about the Microsoft flagship console, from the Xbox Series X's price and specs to the Xbox Series S's price and specs, all the way to Xbox All Access, which I'll explain what that is, to Xbox Live Gold, which I'll explain what that is. So, let's get started. The Xbox Series X, as you see before you, is the flagship $500 expensive console for the Xbox, but it has all the bells and whistles. I'm not gonna go that deep into specs. I'll compare the specs between the Xbox X and the Xbox Series S in a little bit, but I'm not gonna go too deep into specs because this is just regular information for people that want to know what console to buy for their kids or their spouse or whatever. Like people that don't really know that much about consoles. So I'm not really gonna try to bog them down with all the tech jargon. But basically, I'm gonna go over like minute stuff. So as you can see, game in 4K, true 4K. The consoles, Xbox One X and PlayStation 4 Pro, used to supposedly do 4K, but these definitely will be able to do 4K, up to 120 frames per second, and it's future-proof. Basically, it's going to be able to do up to 8K, so, allegedly. So basically, right now, 4K TVs are somewhat cheap. I wouldn't say they're cheap, but they're somewhat cheap. So a lot of people do have them in their homes. So gaming in 4K makes perfect sense. And eventually, in maybe 4 or 5 years, 8K TVs will become more affordable, and most consumers will probably have 8K TVs. So that's why if you get this console, you'll be able to play games even up to 8K, more or less. But they'll probably, in 4 to 5 years, come out with an even better version of this console. It technically wouldn't be the next generation, but it would just be like an upgrade. Anyway, so it comes with all the bells and whistles. It's optimized for the best speed. Smart delivery is basically like if you buy a game like on the Xbox One, like a console that you have now, but you pop it into your Xbox Series X, it's going to optimize it to give you the best version of that game. So if you get, let's say, Cyberpunk 2077, which is a game coming out, and you get it for the Xbox One, but then you get an Xbox Series X, you could still pop it into your Xbox Series X, and it'll give you basically the best version of that, because it's going to run, all the best graphics and all that other stuff, right? What else? What else? We have surround the sound. I wouldn't really say the sound of consoles is based on whatever sound it is that you yourself have on your TV, or maybe a surround sound or stuff like that. But obviously, they're optimized to have the best visuals and the best sound. So they're still going to give you good sound. I'm just saying, mostly it's based on your TV, because the sound is going to come out of your TV, not the Xbox. Games I will go over later in a separate video, while I'll compare like Xbox games and PlayStation games. But basically, Xbox exclusive games like Gears 5, which you see before you, and I think the Medium also is going to be an Xbox exclusive games, will be, exclusively for the Xbox. Then you have games like Resident Evil, Call of Duties, your NBA 2K1s, 21, whatever, like all the sports games, all the third-party games, Fortnite, all this stuff is available on all the consoles. So I would recommend you pick a console based off of just these games specifically. I'll go into which games you should buy consoles for and which console you should buy games for, but we'll go over that in another video. Optimized for speed. Now this, I really want to touch on the storage. So, as far as I know, the Xbox Series X is the only one that has, right now, its own flagship storage, specifically for the Xbox Series X. So Sony itself you probably need storage for it as well, but it is more variety. You can pick different ones and cheaper ones. It might mess up with the performance of your PlayStation, of your games, but technically it's still passable. Whereas the Xbox, I don't know if they're going to be able to use third-party storage devices. They have their own they partnered with Seagate for their storage expansion cards. So the storage expansion cards, this one specifically is 1 terabyte. I think they're all going to be like 1 terabyte. They go into a specific part of the console, and I think they are about $220. I saw for Best Buy. They just went on sale not that long ago, and or pre-order, and basically they sold out immediately, obviously. But $220 for a 1 terabyte storage expansion. Now the Xbox Series X comes with a 1 terabyte already built in, and the Xbox Series S, which is the digital version of the Xbox console, basically comes with a 512 gigabytes, so it's even less memory. Now, these games for these consoles, because they're so high performance, run 4K and all this other stuff, they're very, very expansive. Talk about like 200 gigabytes per game, more or less. It could be possible even more. And if it becomes more, you're basically gonna run out of space between 3 or 4 games that you buy. And if you got the digital version, 3 or 4 games that you download, and then you're done. You're gonna need more space. So that's something to really think about as a consumer buying these consoles. What it is that you're gonna need for the memory, as far as memory. So again, if you're gonna get these extra bits of memory, let's say you got 1 terabyte, that'd be 2 terabytes technically, because the Xbox Series X has one, and then you add another one, that's 2. But you're paying 220 on top of the 500 already for the flagship console. So you do have to think about that. But if you pay for the $300 Xbox Series S, which we'll go over, and you get the storage for that one, 220, same, it would be more or less $520. So you're basically paying the same price for a console ultimately if you still go digital, because you're gonna need the extra storage. The controller is a little bit similar to the old controller. It has a little bit of changes, and I'm not really gonna go over the controller that much because again, it's people that game. This video is just for people that why they should buy the console or not. But if you do have controllers from old consoles, so if your son, your spouse, whatever has an Xbox from prior, like Xbox One, they can use the same controller for the new console. So it's already going to come with one controller, but if they want to play with a sibling or someone else, now you don't need to buy extra controllers because the old controllers will work for the new consoles. So the Xbox Series X is compatible with your Xbox One gaming accessories. It's just supposedly going to bring faster response times, but they work, so no need to buy extra controllers. So at least you could save there. Now, there are games like Halo Infinite, for example, which is going to be released at some point during the Xbox Series X's lifetime, not when it launches. Then there are some games that are going to be at launch. The Medium, I think, is going to be one of those games. 2K21 is already out, but the the Xbox Series X version, Watch Dogs Legion will be out, and Assassin's Creed Valhalla will be out. But again, the Xbox Series X versions of those. But most of these, well, everything except for the Medium, and I don't know about the Ascent, but the Medium is exclusively, I think, for Xbox, whereas 2K21 and Watch Dogs Legion, as well as Assassin's Creed Valhalla, you can get on the PlayStation as well. So if you're looking for just third-party, I would suggest a different console, but I will go into which console I suggest later on in another video. This is just to tell you basically about the Xbox. So, good thing is they're backwards compatible, so all of your old Xbox 360 games, Xbox One games, even some original Xbox games, Blood Rain over here if you could see it, all of these games are going to be available to play, and again, they're going to be optimized to be beautiful looking. This is basically the whole console itself, like built, you could see kind of all the little parts. The fans at the top. Now, I do hear very recently there's an article coming out about it running really hot, and I don't know if you guys have owned an Xbox before, but the Xbox 360 specifically died on me, the red ring of death, and it was because it overheated. So if you got an Xbox 360, like one of the first batches, it did overheat, and you had to basically send it to Microsoft, and they'll send you a new one, and that happened to me, so I had to do that. But yeah. This one supposedly is running hot from articles that I'm hearing, but they allegedly made this with, these great airflow architecture for cooling, which you can see here, so basically the air comes through the bottom and the fan just blows it off the top. But I don't know. I don't know. We're going to have to wait and see to actually see what's going on, right? It's supposedly, really quiet console. It doesn't run that loud, all that stuff. Now, what's in the box? So if you get the Xbox Series X, you get the Xbox Series X console, you get a controller, and then of course the HDMI cable that connects it from the Xbox to the TV or computer, whatever you're plugging it into. So again, if you want more controllers, if you already have them, you can use them for, like old controllers, or if not, you can buy new ones for like $60. They're very expensive. All right, we're going to the Xbox Series S now. All right, and this is it. A little cinematic here beforehand. So the Xbox Series S, smallest Xbox ever. That's definitely true. It's very compact. It has all the same stuff, smart delivery. The only thing is that it's all digital. So no disk drive, as you can see. Every game you want to play on it, you're going to have to download it directly onto the console. And again, the memory is not that much, I don't think. But the storage expansion, they are selling it. But again, it is sold separately. Just remember that. Very important. And the price right now, or at least coming out initially, will be like around $200, $220. So hopefully it gets cheaper as time goes by. But you're going to have to basically download games, play them, I guess offload them, and download new games until you can afford the storage, or the storage becomes more affordable. That's basically what you're gonna have to do this console generation, because if you want to save money, because there's no other way around it really. These games are really massive, really expensive. Again, same games you can play on the Xbox Series X, you can play on the Xbox Series S. Really, it's just that it's $300. It's cheaper. It does, like, the specs are a little bit different. It does not run a native 4K, like true 4K, like the Xbox Series X does, but it does get close. And again, to me as a gamer, I highly doubt. Like, I don't really notice these things, like graphical differences. I don't really notice that much. I don't think you will either. But you never know. Again, all the old controllers can work on the Xbox Series S as well. All the compatible games for Xbox Series X are also on the S, and Xbox One and Xbox 360 and the original Xbox games all can be played on it. So here are the specs. So up to 120 frames per second. The 512 gigabyte hard drive. That's the thing. It's like, we need more memory. What are you doing? Especially if it's a digital console. You think they would have put more memory on it, because they're going to be like, yeah, more people are going to just download games on this, so they're going to need more memory than at least the $500 one. But the more memory, the more expensive. So in order for you to hit that $300 price mark, you gotta suffer somewhere, and that's where it is. So, and it has, the HDR, high dynamic range. Again, games are gonna look gorgeous on this. It's really, to me, in my case, it is affordable. It's just the price that you pay for the affordable stuff, where you save and where you don't save, it's the same money, really, in my opinion. So again, what's in the box? You get the Xbox Series S console, you get the controller, and you get the HDMI cable that connects from the console to whatever you're connecting it to, whatever screen. All right, now we're going to go over just really quick over the actual specs of each console. So the CPU, Xbox Series X, has the Zen 2 8-core 3.8 gigahertz, and the Series S has the same Zen 2 8-core, but it's 3.6 gigahertz. Not that big difference there. The GPU has 12.15 teraflops, and the Xbox Series S has only 4 teraflops. Again, teraflops, beautiful, wonderful teraflops. Everyone loves teraflops. But they don't really, having 12 is great. It's fucking amazing. But having 4 is also very good. It's not bad. The RAM, Xbox Series X has 16 gigabytes of RAM. Xbox Series S has 10 gigabytes of RAM. Storage, as we said, the 1 terabyte for the Xbox Series X, the 512 gigabyte for the Xbox Series S. The throughput I/O, more or less, I think it's actually the same. Yeah, the 2.4 gigabytes and the 4.8 gigabytes compressed, it is the same. The external storage, the 1 terabyte expansion card, which you saw, both of them will take the 1 terabyte expansion card. So the physical media, the Xbox Series X has the 4K UHD Blu-ray drive, so that's the disc drive where you can put the games, as well as any Blu-rays for anybody that still uses DVDs, and the digital only is obviously digital only, so no disk drive whatsoever. The output resolution, so 4K at 60 frames per second, is the Xbox Series X, and the 1440p at 60 frames per second with upscaling is the Xbox Series S. So as you can see, it doesn't really hit 4K. It might be able to hit 4K in some games, but that's still, out for debate. But still, they're going to look amazing. So if you want to get it, you can still get it. I wouldn't say just because of that to not get it. So now, this to me is the real big selling point for the Xbox, the consoles. So I'm more of a PlayStation guy. I usually get PlayStations first and then Xboxes, but I usually get both consoles. Now, this last generation for me, the Xbox didn't really have that many games that I played on it. The PlayStation did, so I didn't really pay that much attention to my Xbox. Now, this time around, I am eyes open for the Xbox because they've partnered with a lot of studios, so a lot of games are coming, and they already have a lot of games that you can play right off the bat. And here's where everything comes beautifully together. So this is called the Xbox All Access. Basically, if you have somewhat good credit, you can get the Xbox consoles, either the X or the S, for just $25 a month for the Xbox Series S, or $35 a month for the Xbox Series X. And that is actually wonderful. Now, it's for 24 months, and there's no upfront cost. You don't have to pay anything extra on top of that. Again, you start paying 25, boom, you have the console, you start paying it off right away. And there's 0% APR, so there's no annual fee, there's no rates or percentages that goes up, or interest or anything like that you pay off at the end. So it's really just you're paying for the console. Now, the reason that you're paying 25 or 35, respectively, is that you're going to have the Xbox Game Pass on top of the fact that you're playing for the Xbox. So, what is the Xbox Game Pass? So, this includes 24 months of Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. Now, let me explain. The Xbox Game Pass is basically, it's like Netflix for video games. So, you pay for a subscription for the Xbox Game Pass, and you play upwards of 100 plus games. Like, you have access to upwards of 100 plus games. You can play at any time, whichever game you want. And they have a very, very extensive library, from Doom Eternal, as you can see, Night in the Woods, if you like indie titles, Destiny, like a bunch of games, okay? They have their own flagship games available, like all the Halos. They have Gears of War, like just a lot of games. A lot of games. They partnered with EA Play, so now they have a lot of sports games. They have Plants vs. Zombies, The Sims. There's a lot of games that you can play that just you're never gonna run out of games to play, basically. So yeah, I would definitely just for this, like if you can qualify for this, I would 100% try to get the console, because again, if you're paying $35 a month, which I feel like is very affordable for a console, 100 plus games and Game Pass, like to me it's a no-brainer. So now, the Game Pass, let's say you don't want to do that, or you can't, you don't qualify for it, and you have to get the console, so you might go to the $300 one or whatever. Now, the Xbox Game Pass, there's 3 tiers, there's 3 different levels, but I would suggest the Ultimate, and here's why. So the console, if you get the Xbox Game Pass console, it's $10 a month. You get access to all the same games, the 100, quality or more console games. New games are added all the time. Xbox Game Studio titles are available the same day. So that means if a game's coming out that's exclusively for the Xbox, like let's say Senua's Sacrifice 2, which is a great game, by the way, it's coming out for the Xbox exclusively, that game's going to be available the same time on Game Pass as it comes out for release. So if it comes out tomorrow, you're already going to tomorrow have it right there ready to play at the Game Pass. And of course you get discounts and deals, right? So, but it's $10 a month. The PC, so this is where I have a little caveat. If you don't want to get the Xbox, you technically don't have to at all. If you have the like a gaming PC or a PC that's capable of gaming, you can play all of these games, all of the Xbox games, on your computer. So there's really no need for you to get an Xbox console if you have a gaming computer. So for PC, you you could join for $1 and then it's $10 a month. But again, you get the same access to all the games, new games that are added all the time. Game studio titles available same day, and you get a membership and discounts and all stuff. So it's all there, beautiful and ready. Now the ultimate. Here's why I say the ultimate is better. So it's $15 a month, but again, dollar for the first month. It's $15 a month, but you get access to both console and PC. Okay, so you have access to the same games, but on top of that, you get free perks, including in-game content. So sometimes some games have like a sword that you have to buy in order to play with that sword. You might get that for free if you're an Xbox Game Pass Ultimate member. If you play games on your mobile device, like you could play games on your iPad or on your phone and stream it through Xbox Game Pass. So all you really need is a controller and your and your phone, and boom, you're playing games like just off your phone. Now again, you can also this same account you can use on a PC and you can use on a console, which to me is the again no brainer. So you can go to a friend's house, and let's say he has a gaming PC, and you're like, hey, I have Xbox Game Pass. You log in, boom, you're playing Gears right there in his computer. You're playing Call of Duty, whatever, just automatically. It's brilliant. It's great. All you need is a controller, and you can play anywhere. It like ultimately console wars. I don't really buy into the console wars. As I said, I usually get all the consoles, but it's not that they have won console wars. Microsoft has thought beyond console wars, and PlayStation as well is thinking about this. But right now, Microsoft is winning this game right now. Again, if you could own a console, the Xbox Series X, the most expensive console, for $35 a month, and this is included in there, you're basically getting games that you can just stream. You don't even have to download them onto the console. You can just stream them and just play. You know what I mean? Like, just play the games. It's great. And this also includes, this is why the Ultimate is better, the Gold. So Xbox Live Gold is included in this Ultimate package. Not with these two. So what is Xbox Live Gold? Let me explain there. Xbox Live Gold is the subscription service that you pay at Xbox to play with other people that have Xboxes. So if I want to play with my next door neighbor and he's in his house playing his Xbox, in order for me to play with him, I have to pay Xbox Live Gold to play with him. If I want to play with a kid in China, if I want to play with a kid in Europe, if I want to play with a kid in South Dakota, it's all through Xbox Live Gold, right? On an Xbox or PC. So, how much is the Xbox Live Gold? It is, surprise, surprise, $10 a month. So you can either get the $10 a month or the 3 months, which is $25. You get a little bit of discount there. They used to have a 12-month option, which I used to opt for, but obviously that was back when Xbox Live Gold was the only thing available. And then obviously they're trying to push you to just get the Xbox Game Pass, because if you get the Game Pass, again, you're waived the $10 and it's included in your $15 a month. And you can, again, play this on games, on consoles, on PC, on anything. So Ultimate to me is the best thing that you can do. That coupled with the Xbox All Access, if you qualify, it's like that's the only reason that I might be getting an Xbox, to be honest, is I think I qualify. But getting it is a little bit difficult. So when you go to pre-order, and let's say I want it directly from Microsoft, right now it's not available. On the day of the pre-orders, I tried, and it was very, very unavailable. But basically, that's where you go to do, to try and get it. Once it launches, hopefully they'll be more available. Maybe by like next year, I might get one. But either way, this is a great way to pay for a console, enjoy a console. It's really innovative, and I'm glad that they did it. Really, because it's good for consumers, 100%. I think that's about it as far as Xbox goes. I myself, if it's between these two consoles, I would get the Xbox Series X, especially if you qualify for the All Access, because again, you're only paying $35 a month for it. If you can't, then I would still suggest the Xbox Series X. Just shell out an extra $200 for the Xbox Series X instead of the S, because again, you're future-proofing yourself. You're gonna not have to buy another console for a while, unless there's any problems with it. But again, you just return it; they give you a new one. It should be fine. But yeah, that's basically what I would suggest: the Xbox Series X over the S if it's between these two consoles, because the Xbox Series S only digital. Not enough space. You're gonna have to buy storage if you really want to store your games and play them again later. I mean, you could always just re-download them, but who wants to go through that hassle of, and then if your internet connection is not fast enough, you might not be able to stream the games that you're going to stream. You might have to wait hours to wait for them to download. It's a hassle just having the only digital. So I would suggest the Xbox Series X for most people if you're in between the two and you can afford the two. I would suggest this one over the other one. Also, like I said, better performance. Now, if you're in between all of them, let's say Xbox Series X, S, PlayStation, and PlayStation Digital, I would suggest the PlayStation Digital over the Xbox Series S, not the X, because the Xbox Series S is $300, but for $100 more, you get the PlayStation 5 Digital, which is, in my opinion, a better console with, will have better graphics and all this other stuff, 4K, all that, and it's only $100 more. But that's up to you, ultimately. All right, that's my opinion. That's the games, and that's all I got for you today. Check me out next time. I'll have another video for you guys. And don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. Leave a comment if you can. And I hope this useless skill was useful for you.